should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exists, and that variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the Township of Livingston. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you will require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Excuse me. Other variances require a majority of 4 members to grant that variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If your objector to any type of variance has been granted, you too may appeal to Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision. If you do file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint to the Planning Administrator, Jackie Hollis. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Star Ledger and West Essex Tribune, and a copy was also posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. In addition to having notice posted, notice of this meeting was placed on the township's website. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or to make statements regarding each application at the appropriate time. When the time comes, if you would like to address the board, please come to the front and use the microphone so we can make sure your comments or questions are part of the record. We will now call the roll. Mr. Kenya?
Mr. Kenya, present. Mr. Horn? Here. Okay. Mr. Shah?
Here.
Awesome. Mr. Sherman?
Here.
Okay. Ms. Yoon?
Here.
All right. Mr. Wiseman?
Here.
Okay. Ms. Khan?
Here.
And Mr. Beer?
Here.
Quorum.
Thank you. Okay, before we get started, just want to make a note that the first 2 applicants, block number 2404, lot 45, 42 Westmont Drive, and block 3400, lot 1, 68 Springbrook Road, have been adjourned to March 25th. If you're here for that application, feel free to come back then. No further notice will be required, right, Jackie? Okay, so there will be no notice, adjourned to March 25th. Okay. Mr. Kenya, will you call the next application?
Yes. Block 601, Lot 8, 3 Hartstone Terrace, application number 2024-65-3. Applicant seeks approval for the first and the second floor addition, violation of the following section. 170-87BB2, habitable floor area, 4870 square feet allowed, 5954 square feet proposed, 1084 square feet variance requested. 17087CC2, habitable floor area ratio, 18% allowed, 23.4% proposed, 5.4% variance requested.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Kenya, for announcing the application. My name is Derek Orth from the law firm of Inglesino Taylor. It's a pleasure to be in front of you in beautiful Livingston this evening. Again, I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Prashant Kumar and Meenakshi Sahay. The property was previously identified as Block 601, Lot 8. This is in your R2 zone. There's 2 reasons we're here before you this evening. One is a bulk C variance for a increase in the habitable floor area, and then associated with that intrinsically is a D4 variance for the habitable floor area. In my opinion, these are both minor variances that we're hoping the board is going to grant this evening, and you're going to hear from my architect in that regard. We think that these variances can be granted. They do not trigger any other bulk variance which is offensive to the zone standards in the R2 zone. We comply with the setback standards, the lot coverage standards, and every other bulk variance standard in this zone. The improvements that we're proposing here are in keeping with the neighborhood, with the zone scheme, and are something common that you can see up and down this block at 3 Hartstone Terrace here. So, but don't take it from me. I have my architect here, William Gentili. He's right there. William, can you join us here? He has some plans he's going to walk the board through this evening. Of course, I'll have him sworn in and qualified as an expert in the field of architecture. And Mr. Chairman, he is my only witness for this evening.
Good evening. All right, sir.
Please, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay. For the record, can you please state and spell your name?
Certainly. William Gentile, Gentile. My office is at 1581 Lincoln Highway, Edison, New Jersey. I've been a registered architect in New Jersey since '94.
And all your licenses and qualifications
yes.
remain in good standing and effect in the state of New Jersey, correct?
Absolutely.
And you
yes.
testified before this board and, of course, many other boards and have been accepted as an expert in the field of architecture,
I have.
correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. With that, Mr. Chairman, I proffer Mr. Gentili as an expert in the field of architecture.
Just for the record, could we, what school did you go to?
UNM, University of New Mexico.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
You know what? I should have qualified, because that's an unusual one.
Yeah.
Is that the board has probably not heard that before.
Well, they have here.
They have here, other than when he's testified here before.
Might
But
not
you know
remember,
what?
though. Okay.
A little bit warmer there than New Jersey, that's for sure.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There be no objections, the witness accepted as expert in architecture.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Pleasure.
Again, William, thanks for being here this evening. Just as you get ready to show the plans on the screen, you prepared these plans by yourself, correct?
That's correct.
And the packet that we're going to show the board this evening was included with the application materials, correct?
Correct.
And so there's no other submission materials which need to be marked as an exhibit before we get going this evening, correct?
Correct.
Wonderful. So I've covered as much open space time as I can here until the plans are pulled up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I could go on. My attorney license is in good standing and effect in the state of New Jersey as well.
Good evening. Thank you for entertaining me here. This is a house that's been built, I think, since 1960s, and it's a split level. It's kind of that era, and it no longer fits the lifestyle or the attitude of the people that are inhabiting it. They are needing some additional space for children, for relatives, for parents, and so we tried to enlarge this home to make it more comfortable and more in keeping with their style of living.
And also just in keeping with what we commonly see up and down Hearthstone Terrace, correct?
I'm sorry, but
Also in keeping with what we see up and down Hearthstone Terrace,
Absolutely,
correct? Yes.
So this was the basic house. It's a two-car garage and a lower level, which is some bedrooms, and then on top of the garage, there's a couple more bedrooms, which is now currently the master suite. Then the main living area, living room, dining room, kitchen. And so they wanted to add an additional master suite and add some additional bedroom for their children. So this is what we did for the plan, and let's see. Oh, here we go. So just to show you how we looked at the property, I have indicated where we did the additions. On the right side is the existing property plan or the survey. As you can see, it's a typical house for this area. So I have added some feet to the space. Come on. So I identified the areas in which we're doing some work. Next to the garage, we were adding an additional bedroom where the current bedroom wing is, and then the purple area is where the main portion of the addition is being done. I added a couple of square feet, about 110, 108 square feet on the ground level. There is an addition right back here, which is one of the expansions to make the living room a little bit wider. We also did a design element to the front of the house, which is to add a curve of stone to give it some excitement and some interest. So I have what's happening on the lowest level of the house, which is all existing. There's just some interior remodeling going on there, and reappropriation of different types of rooms and functions. At the garage, and we are So above the garage, I'm adding a bedroom with its own bathroom and walk-in closets. In fact, that whole ring is being remodeled just to give every bedroom a walk-in closet and its own personal bathroom. This is, going further, we modified the kitchen, living room, dining room wing to reorient where the kitchen's going, opening up the plan to give you the idea of the more open plan, which is very traditional now. Added this bow on the front of the building for, again, for architectural feature. Then I'd also started then, because these are on some different many levels, I needed to create staircases up to the higher level, which is going to be above the living room, dining room, kitchen. So I start to work that. Let me see. So when we get upstairs, there's where a lot of work is being done. This area here, which is the platform to get up over the garage. And from that platform, we now had to get up over the living room, dining room, kitchen, so I created a staircase and a passageway, a bridge, if you will, to the master suite, which is on the left, including the typical master bath, closets, and sitting rooms, and a little balcony for themselves. And also, because we were raising a staircase in the middle of the house, I raised the roof of the living room. So the living room is a 2-story living room. This is where part of our square footage comes in. About 890 square feet is just the second floor of the living room, which is open and not intended to be used for anything but a volume space. So I give, go back there. So this is the appearance. We're trying to keep it with the character of the low-slung roofs and the standard windows. We're applying some finishes to the garage area, which is the lowest area, and then the rest of it is all the addition and the resurfacing of all those, the stone that's on the first floor, which is very typical of split-level houses at that time. And paying homage to that somewhat by adding a stone onto the front of the house. So
And William, just while we have that up, we see some additional elevation with the architectural feature in the front of the house there. Nevertheless, we're still well below the permitted building height in the zone, correct?
Absolutely. The height of this right now is about 30 feet.
And that's more than 5 feet below what is permitted in the zone,
That's
correct?
correct.
And in fact, with the rest of the improvements that you are going through or will be covering, we're not encroaching as a result of these improvements into any setbacks or other bulk standards in this zone, correct?
That's correct. We stayed within the limits.
So we're really working within essentially the existing square footage, the building footprint of the home here, correct?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then I've had the elevations of the 4 sides, basically. Like I said, this area up across the top is what we've added in order to make the connection to the existing building, also give them the 2-story living room, and the master suite is above that. As we swing around to the side, just jump in there. It's this is all this across the bottom is the existing. We've added just these 3 windows for the additional bedroom on this particular side of the house, and tied all these different roofs together. As we get to the back side of the house, this is where you can see the evidence of where we have this 2-story. They like lots of light, and so it's all open with windows looking out toward the back and their pool area. And again, the master suite, this is what's already there. This is our area of addition. Then we come back around to the side where the existing living room jumps out or extends out into the backyard. So we carried that stone around there. These are the sliding doors into the living room, and there's windows above for, again, natural light. And that covers what's on the plans.
So let me just walk through a couple of things. So essentially, working within the confines of the existing split-level home, we've modernized it from the interior, right?
From the, yes,
Interior out, and it now makes more sense. You could walk to and from the home in a way that is in keeping with the modern house, right?
very modern, yes.
And when you walk through the neighborhood and when you design this home, do you feel it's in keeping with the other homes on the street?
Yeah, I do, yes.
Yes, and is there any reason that anything that you've designed here would give you concern to cause a detriment to the neighbors or anything in the zone scheme here?
Certainly not.
And in fact, you think this is an improvement to the house, correct? See,
Yes.
Of course, he's going to say that, he designed it, but I have to ask the question. But it does improve, I think, the aesthetic appeal of the house, correct?
Right.
And it makes it more usable for the occupants, for the homeowners,
occupants,
correct?
exactly, yeah.
Okay. So I have no further questions on the rec, Mr. Chairman. Tender him over to the board and the board's professionals.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness?
I just have a small question. Can you just talk about it looked like a flat roof, but it's not a flat roof. Can you just talk
It's a
about
low,
that?
it's a low pitch roof.
A low pitch roof.
Right. You get a sense of the angle. It's not, 4 and 12, or I think this one is
Right.
about 3 and 12, but it's not the big, high, steep pitch roof.
Okay.
And we're still well under the permitted height.
We
of the
are,
building
and
height,
we're also
correct?
going to be making arrangements for solar panels to be put on the roof as well. They're currently on the house, and they would just be removed and then reapplied to this location. That's one of the reasons why the slope is so low.
I have a question then. You're at 5954 square feet, which is a 1,084 over on area, and you're 5% over on ratio on a full-size R2 lot. That's a lot over. I know you have a high floor in one place, you mentioned that, but it goes to the massing of the building, and that seems to be a lot over on me. Can you talk more about that? Maybe help me out a little bit?
Well, we felt because it's on a slope, it is also a split level, so there was always a portion of the building that was kind of sunken, the driveway that side. We were also starting to stay within as much as possible within the footprint of the existing house, and we wanted to provide more volume, because they'd been living with like 7'8" ceilings throughout the house, and now they really wanted to open it up, get themselves some more height. They got 10-foot ceilings on the first floor, got 9-foot ceilings on the second floor in the master suite, and then whatever structure that we had to put in between it. It was intended, because the clients do like a lot of light and a lot of openness, is to provide them with this space that, while we recognized it was big, but we also thought, because it is a continuous space, it is not going to be divided or subject, a floor put in at some other date. It was just a volume of space for themselves to entertain their family and their friends and have celebrations. When you take off 800 plus square feet for the volume of the second floor, which is only going to be used once, that brings that number considerably closer to what you're seeking.
I understand it goes to the volume, which is why it's counted. That's, I guess, where I'm getting a little hung up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I concur with my colleague. I understand the effort that went into this plan, and I saw driving by the house. I had to drive by it like 3 times. I couldn't really understand the flow, because you have the garage and then you have the room, and I couldn't figure it out. So I understand, the challenges that you faced in doing this. But I do think that the massing, the bulk of this house it's very large, and I understand that that's not usable space, but it still reflects in the building size. So from the outside. So for me, I have a little bit of a problem. in the fact that you are asking for over 1,000 square feet variance. And I just wonder if there's a way to maybe go back and relook at that. That's just how those are that's my
So,
opinion.
I appreciate that.
Does anybody on board want to add on to that or not?
No, I concur.
Yeah,
with the-
similarly, you testified as to the aesthetic comparison to the rest of the neighborhood. How do you compare size-wise in terms of square footage, would you estimate, for the other new houses on the block or in the vicinity?
Well, I've been seeing a strong trend throughout the area of having houses that just look huge. And I can't attest to whether they are in compliance with the zoning for their particular area. It just seems that there is a trend to be more visible on the lot than with the previous housing stock we've had. And unfortunately, in order to get things that you want inside, these are the areas and what we felt was necessary.
Can I ask a couple of questions to go into this a little
Sure,
bit?
of course.
Thank you. The home is centrally located on the lot, correct?
Very much so.
And so the improvements that we're talking about are really centralized in the middle of the
Towards
structure,
the
right?
middle of the, yes,
And we're not encroaching into any of the other setbacks from the existing structure, correct?
that's correct.
And so we're maintaining visual separation from all the neighbors, correct?
Actually, we're exactly at the same separation that's currently being enjoyed by everyone. We do have a large setback on the street side, of the corner lot there is 40 feet back, plus the street, the frontage. This also, it gives the building a feeling being set way back from the street. And I think that helps to diminish the feeling that you're bringing up that it might be oversized.
And this is a corner lot as well, correct?
Exactly, yes.
So it stands on the corner, and what we're talking about here is a nice home in the center of a lot. We're working within the existing square footage of the building here, right? The existing footprint?
Or the existing footprint with,
And we're creating massing in the middle of the lot, in the middle of the structure, without offending any setbacks, correct?
correct.
And we're still 5 feet under the height permissions in the
height
zone.
Right.
Correct. And a lot of the square footage, which exceeds the permissions in the zone here, is space that is both the first and the second floor. It's open space, correct?
That's right.
And
That's
so it's
where
really, it's counted twice in a way, and if we were to only count it once, we'd be, what, about 200 feet over? Is that right?
If it was counted once, I think we're a little over 300. and
About
stuff this
300
year.
feet over if it's counted once.
I just want to say, I appreciate the fact that the roof is low, but if you would have built it higher to a 35-foot height, then it would be even larger. So you're sort of lowering it, so this way, you're not asking for that much. So I understand that, and I see that, and that's sort of like the give and take. Let's make the roof low, I understand that. But to me, I'm not really looking at the roof height, I'm looking at the massing of the building. So I do appreciate the fact that it's a sloped roof. But in my mind, I'm not really looking at that in terms of how I look at the massing of the house.
I'd also like to I know you brought up about the height, existing heights in the house, 7'8" or whatever, and talking about extra space. But there's also a difference between now taking 7'8" and now making a 10-foot ceiling or a 12-foot ceiling versus now a double height, which is taking up almost 850 square feet,
Right.
plus the addition that adds to that space, that gives you even more space to be able to have that big room. Wouldn't, if you took all that away, you'd be able to make something that would be compliant? And
I'm
still
sure-
have
I'm
all the
sure-
extra room that you want?
Well, yes, it is very possible, but you don't have the drama that the entrance brings with the two-story space. We still have to provide a means of getting from the mid-level garage up to the master area, which is right there in the front of the house, right at the front door, over the top of it, which means that massing is still going to happen. I can't change that particular part of the front of the house, because that massing will still be there. I still need that, that width of wall or stairway or whatever to make that work. Then we'll just have, a big staircase with a low roof behind it. And so I don't see I can change, the front will still remain the same, in my opinion, the front will still remain the same because we need to tie the house together. We have to get from one level up to the other level, and it is across the space. And so that's the result of what, part of what that looks like in the front of the house. And around the side, everything is kind of stepped back. You can see that there's a low, one-story spaces, there's two-story spaces, and then you see the room behind that. So there is a distance. As you get further away, it does get a little bit taller. And so we were looking at the massing, and I was also looking at what the needs and the wants of the client.
May I ask another question?
Sure.
I concur with my colleagues, and my other question is, can you please elaborate the hardship that you are seeing for this design? Thank you.
Well, this is where we were considering, and I was considering, the fact that it was going to be a need for a two-story space, and I'm not sure what the limit would have been to bring it down as far as the square footage, as the two stories to line up with the roof of the master bedroom, and that fact that we had to count the floor twice is one of our biggest hardship when it goes to strictly to the FAR and the habitable floor area.
Is there, hearing what the board has to, or what many board members have expressed here, is there some portion of the proposed improvements the board is looking to see shrunk or minimized in some way?
I think it's a really hard house to design because of the bedroom that's on the other side. So I'm not a designer, and we certainly can't
Right.
design the house for you.
It was an unfair question.
It was an unfair
apologize.
question.
It was.
It
I'm
actually
sorry,
was a
you
very
know.
unfair question.
I know, I'm sorry.
But so we cannot redesign the house for you, and that's really something that you would have to figure out. But we do know that the house is just too large for the lot. I mean, like you say, there are houses that are larger in the R2 district, but those houses are on lots that are, 35,000 square feet. So you really can't compare, like, this house size to another house size, because all lots are shaped differently, and all, we
Right.
look at each house, each application on a case-by-case basis. So we really don't look at other homes or any other applications when we're looking at your application. It's a challenge because of the way that the house is laid out. Like, we
Correct.
totally get that.
That's right.
And I am happy that we're not in your shoes, but the house is the way that it sits right now, the house is large.
And
I'll just add and maybe summarize a little bit. From where I sit, I do appreciate what you've done. We do appreciate you keeping it lower and not massing it up that way. That's always a question at times. Keeping the footprint, and as my colleague said, a difficult one to reconfigure, but understanding that the open spaces count as a floor because the powers to be wanted to control massing and that effect. We have that all the time with staircases. It's a reoccurring theme. It's just there. So, while if you got rid of it, you'd knock 822 off, you'd still be 262 over, which is a lot more reasonable, obviously. But right now, you're 1,084 over and 5%, as I said, on a full-size lot. It makes it hard for us to, rationalize that, even though it's a beautiful design and I think you tried to do everything you could. Those numbers are just, it's a big bite to take. I think that's what kind of everyone's trying to say. So where you would have to go exactly, I can't really say, but closer to the other number than you are now would probably be helpful. Without,
Something
we're
less.
trying to keep
No, I
your
get
design
it.
together.
I was
without-
unfair, but no, it's.
Yeah, no,
it's- No, I
we try to
understand.
give you some guidance and stuff, but hearing from what everyone's saying and my thoughts and stuff is, if we can get it into the ballpark a little bit more, we're just, not seeing it in the ballpark right now, I think. Fair to
So,
say.
would you give me just 30 seconds here, Mr.
You can
Chairman?
take 45.
45? Oh, thank you.
It's a new year.
I know, I'm sorry. Can we, Mr. Chairman, can we kick something around a little bit that we just talked about with the board here?
Okay?
I don't think we can kind of stipulate to a plan revision tonight that's going to make any sense, but we want to talk a little bit about where we're going, kind of informally see where the board's at with that.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, William.
So I'm thinking that really the biggest issue that we have, or at least the bigger bulk of the area that we're talking about, if for some means I could lower it so that is just maybe a 14, 15-foot ceiling, so that it's still a one floor, but it's a taller floor. It's not, we're not actually going into the area where it's considered a second floor. So that would lock off, you know, if I can do all that. I don't know exactly how yet. You know, it has to be worked out, but we would be able to give up at least, you know, possibly 800 square feet of that overage that we have. I don't know if that's an acceptable give for you.
So obviously, this is a quasi-judicial board, and they can't, there are no tells, no advisory opinions.
Right, absolutely.
But I think, let me say this on behalf of the board, I think it's pretty clear where the board's concerns are, where the board's level is. Mr. Gentile, I'm sure, is a very smart man, and he will be sharpening his pencil, so to speak, as they used to say, even though we don't use pencils anymore.
Right.
But I think when you hear from the board those concerns about massing, and it's pretty clear what the level of concern is. So if there are certain ways that those numbers can be reduced, obviously to allow the applicants still get something of what they're desiring, but in the sense that if you're going to try to do something that doesn't violate as much, that's never a bad thing. And I can say that as the attorney. They can't say that as the board. But let me just say that. So if you're going to take the suggestions back,
Yes.
from tonight,
Yes.
go back and, as we used to say, sharpen the pencil and see what you can come up with. Obviously, we can talk about adjourning it to allow your team to do that.
That'd be great. Mr. Wenzel, members of the board, we appreciate the feedback. As I'd like to say, I'm picking up on what the board is putting down here. We're going to go back. I would love to make a stipulation tonight to resolve it, but I think it requires a little more thoughtful endeavor on our part here. So hearing what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Wenzel, we would respectfully request to carry the board's next hearing without further need for public notice. I don't know what the time of decision is on this, but we'll extend it to whatever the next hearing date is.
The
Thank you.
next available hearing, I believe, Ms. Hollis, is March 25th. That's
March
the next slot we
25th?
have. No additional notice would be required. And-
Chair, if I
Thank you.
Yes, please.
And if anyone's here on this application at all, know that you have to come back on March 25th. There will be no further notice, as the chairman indicates at that time. Should there be any interested parties, they will be heard on that time.
Thank you, Mr. Wenzel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for listening and taking our concerns into consideration.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ready for the next one? The Block 3100, Lot 25, 67 Falcon Road. Application number 2024-66-V. Applicant named Nilesh Shah. Applicant seeks approval for the first and the second floor addition in the violation of the following sections. 170-98C3, left side yard setback 10 feet required. 6.3 proposed, which is existing. 3.7 variance requested. The second one is 170-98C3, aggregated side yard, 30% required. 25.2 proposed, 4.8% variance requested. 170-87 habitable floor ratio, 21% allowed, 23.5% proposed, 2.5% variance requested.
Hi there, welcome.
Yeah, I'm going to be the, I'm the architect for the project, and I have the homeowner with us, and we're both going to be testifying.
Both will be testifying, okay? Yeah, we do generally, whatever you want.
If both of you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can we each individually just have, say your name and spell your name for the record, please, sir? You got to get, I'm sorry, sir, you turn on the microphone, you can sit, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Nilesh, Nilesh. That's the first name. Last name Shah, Shah. I am a Livingston resident from over 11 years.
You're good, Mr. Shaw. That's good for now. And then if we can just get the architect's name and please state and spell your name, please.
My name is Afshan Wendell. First name is Afshan. Last name is Vandal, Wendell.
Okay. And you're going to testify, correct?
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
testify.
And you're a New Jersey licensed architect?
Yes, I'm New Jersey.
And you have your license is
All
current?
my licenses are correct.
Checked your email today?
Yes.
No, I'm just joking.
Absolutely did.
Where did you get your education from for
My,
architecture?
I have a bachelor's degree in architecture and I have a master's degree in architecture. I did my bachelor's degree in Pakistan and my master's is from US.
Okay.
Don't ask me where.
And you've testified before other
Yes,
planning
I
and
have
zoning
testified
boards?
in front of this board about 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There be no objection, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
I'm going to just walk you through the plans. The client is going to explain why the expansion was done and what was the requirement of that. However, I'm going to bring your attention to starting with, okay, this touch screen doesn't work very well. I see why Will was having a problem with this.
No problem, take your time.
Here we go. All right. So the existing house is a ranch-style house that has 3 very small bedrooms. And the original owner thought that he needed an extra room or a bedroom. So he used his existing garage to put a room in. And the house is very long and narrow. So when the client bought the house, he was looking for expanding it. He saw the potential that he should be able to put another floor on top of it and make the first floor a little more comfortable rather than really as cramped up as it looks like on the screen right now. So looking at that, I'm going to go to the next sheet, the first sheet. Go over the floor plan a little bit, the survey a little bit. We have 3 variances. One is for the side setback and the combined side setback, and a minor overage on the habitable floor area ratio. I'm going to go over the side setbacks first. Both the side setbacks are existing to remain. We did not make them any, we did not change them during this process of house renovation. The left side one is the one that is causing most of the problem, that is 6'3", but that's existing. And we are actually, there's an existing garage there that we are actually not touching. If you look at that, the only expansion to the footprint, most of the house is exactly on the existing footprint of the house, of the existing house, the proposed one. So we are just adding a little bit at the back. The reason being, if you look, the original house is so narrow that in order to get the things properly located and have the proximity of each area work better, we had to expand a little bit at the back. Our total expansion on the first floor, area-wise, not including the garage, is only 29 square feet. I'm gonna walk you through the floor plans now. So we are actually reclaiming the existing two-car garage, and the one-car garage was with the original, I think when the house was built in 60s or something, but then I think at some point another garage was added onto it. So the second garage did not have that, a very low ceiling, and the quality of construction is also not as good. So that the only change that we are making to that side of the house is we are making that the garage a little, more up to the construction standards, and raising the ceiling of that garage, so that we can have a proper two-car garage on that side. So walking through the floor plan, we come up from the garage, mudroom, an open plan are so in that nobody wants to just take the existing houses that are built in 60s as is. They have to, knock down the walls, put some beams in, and then, so we have an open plan. And the staircase originally to the basement was right in the middle of the house. And that was like really not working with the layout that we were looking for. So I had to push the staircase at the back, hence a little expansion on the back. So the staircase goes at the back. We get a nice size eat-in kitchen with a pantry. Pantry is a very cultural thing, by the way. All people from our side of world, they want a pantry. So that is a must with this whole thing. So with a pantry...
My wife will throw me out if I don't.
So family area, living area, dining area, and we... one of the requirements was that they wanted a bedroom on the first floor. That is that because they have relatives that may not be very comfortable climbing the stairs and going to the second floor. So we have a guest bedroom on the first floor on the right side of the plan with an attached bathroom. And then with we have a powder room, and I think everything else is very self-explanatory. Going to the second floor. Yeah, we also have a double height foyer area, which in this town is always counted in floor area, in habitable floor area. But that has to happen with this all open plan. You have to have a connection between the first floor and the second floor. So basically the small open to foyer area right in the middle is to connect the two floors in a way that if there's somebody on a entrance door, that somebody, you should be able to see him or her from the second floor. So coming up on the second floor, we have 4 bedrooms and a laundry room and an office. And then that's another thing that COVID has done. Everyone wants an office. It's good or bad. It's good for people who are, not paying for office space anymore. However, there's an office, 2 bedrooms, nice size master suite, and an additional smaller junior suite. So Basically, again, it is a very self-explanatory plan. We have a Jack and Jill bathroom for 2 bedrooms on the right side. And we have an attached bathroom on the bedroom on the north left side, and a master suite with 2 walk-in closets and a little hallway to go on the terrace that we are providing on top of the existing garage that we are kind of trying to make look better. So if you have seen the existing photographs that are part of the attachment of this package, that existing garage does not look in a good shape. So we are actually, let's just go to the second sheet so that I can show you the elevation. So yeah, we are making that side, we're not building on top of that garage because it's already not in compliance. We're just doing a terrace on top of it so that a little outside space, a little luxury for my client and his wife to have a morning tea on the terrace. And we're trying to do a little more kind of a modern look to the house rather than a traditional roof. So we have a double slope roof on top of this house with mixed uses of the finishes. In the front, the gray portion is going to be a tile finish or stone finish, whatever the client decides, and I have some vertical siding and some horizontal siding there. All the windows are casement windows, and I feel that this house is a huge improvement onto what it is right now. That's that.
I have one question.
questions?
So I see in the original plan, as you said, the original staircase was in the middle of the house and went down to the basement.
Yes.
But I don't see anything here in the new house referring to the basement. Right, so I see the floor plan for the first floor and the second floor, but what happens to the basement?
There is not going to be much change in the basement. It's just going to be finished. I think I have a little a description. There's not, the reason I didn't do the plan for the basement is just going to be finished for our recreation area and utilities, basically.
We're not going to make any bedroom. It's going to be keeping open.
Okay. Thank you.
Question, go ahead.
I have a question. How is the attic going to be accessed? Yeah.
Yes.
And what the height of the, the highest point of the attic? Thank you.
That is going to be right where it says hallway. Let me just make it larger. We're going to provide attic access where the hallway is, and it can be accessed from there.
Like a pull down.
Yes, a pull down.
The pull-up, yeah.
Pull down.
And the highest point of the attic roof?
The highest point of the attic roof at this point is when we
34.6.
No, the highest point is 34.6. However, the space available over there is enough to put an HVAC unit. That's what, when we were working together, we calculated that we should be able to place, the HVAC unit, and that is all what it's going to be used for, basically. The homeowner did not desire to have more attic space, so.
Okay, so that will not be used for any living space, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any questions? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Does anybody in the public want to make any statements regarding this application? Does anybody on the board want to make any statements? Please.
Thank you very much. I think that this is a thoughtful, updated design to this house, and there's a lot of construction going on Falcon right now, so I think that it'll fit very nicely into what's happening in the neighborhood. It looks like you have a slightly undersized lot, slightly.
slightly.
And you're only asking for 29 square feet of an expansion, and
On
then
the
you'll be building
house.
on the footprint once you do that expansion, right? So you're basically just going up, and you say that the attic is only going to be for the HVAC. Okay, and you're making the garage more useful, which will be great, right, to park both cars. And I think that it's, like I said, it's a thoughtful, modern, updated design, and it fits in nicely with the neighborhood. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
You
just
got your
just to com-
pantry.
Just to confirm,
I'm one of the
you,
residents on a Falcon Road, so
Yeah.
currently.
just to confirm, so the only thing we're asking for is the habitable floor area ratio. Your area is under, and you're not
Yes.
changing any of the existing non-conforming conditions.
Exactly, that's right.
That's correct.
Anybody like to make a motion?
Make a motion?
I'll
I
second it.
second.
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Kenya, yes. Mr. Shah?
Yes.
Miss, how do you pronounce that? Miss June? Miss Yan? Miss Yan?
Yes.
Okay. Alternates, I don't need to do that, right? Alternates? No. No. Ms. Khan?
Yes.
And Mr. Beer?
Before, go ahead, Mr. Wendell.
Just to clarify, this is a motion to approve the application with the three requested deviations for side yard setback, side yard, aggregate side yard, and habitable floor ratio. There's also 2 conditions of approval, as you heard from the board tonight, that would be made part of the resolution. Those conditions of approval would be that the basement would be finished, can be finished, but not finished for habitable space. It won't be for bedrooms. And the attic will not be accessible by anything other than pull-down stairs, and will not be used for residential space. Those will be added to a resolution for the board's edification.
Okay,
No problem, approved.
okay. And,
Agreed from my side.
yes,
You don't approve, you agree.
So many times in the office environment, I always say approve, approve, so that's what, it comes out of my mouth.
and then I'll vote yes.
Okay.
Motion
Right,
is
to the
approved.
entire board, thank you very much for the approval.
Thank you, best of luck. Mr. Kenya, if you hold the next
Okay.
application, please.
Block 1603, Lot 18, 93 Fellswood Drive, application number 2024-67V. Puneet and Roshni Dolakia. Applicant seeks approval to convert the second-floor balcony into the bedroom in violation of the following section. 170-87BB4, habitable floor area, 3,220 square feet allowed, 3,318 square feet proposed, 98 square feet variance requested. 170-87CC4, habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 32.31% proposed, 2.31% variance requested.
Okay, welcome aboard.
Who's going to be our witnesses tonight?
Turn your mic on. Sorry.
I'm the applicant, and I'll be testifying today.
Okay, and anybody else testifying?
And
I'm the professional planner.
Professional planner, okay. All right, why don't we have both of you raise your right hand? And do you swear for and tell the truth for the zoning?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, somebody else forgot to put his hand in the Bible, but that's another story for another day. Basic requirements. Do you swear affirm and tell the truth for the zoning board tonight?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now what we're gonna do is, sir, if we can please have you state and spell your name.
my name is Puneet Dholakia. First name Puneet, Punit. Last name Dholakia, Dholakia.
Okay, and then, sir, who's our planner, if we can please have state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Paul J. Fletcher, last name Fletcher.
Okay. And Chair, if we'll get Mr. Fletcher's qualification on. Okay. Mr. Fletcher, are you a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
And that license is current?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And schooling for professional planning?
I'm a graduate of the University of Toronto. I have a Bachelor of Applied Science. I have degrees in engineering. I obtained my planner's license in the late 80s. At the same time, shortly after, I became a professional engineer.
And have you testified before this board or any other zoning boards and planning boards?
I don't recall being in Livingston. However, I'm very active in Middlesex County. My offices are in Woodbridge. I'm there on a monthly basis. Also in Edison, often in Piscataway, Perth Amboy, in Monmouth County, Morris County.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in professional planning.
Thank you.
Your show.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Puneet Dalakia, as I just testified. I'm the owner and the applicant for the variance application at 93 Fellswood Drive. I, with my wonderful wife and 2 kids, a 5-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter, have been residing in Orlando, Florida for the past 2 years. But we are originally from New Jersey, so when it was time for us to come back to the state and settle into a town that we can call home, we chose Livingston, where we can provide a nurturing environment for our kids. A little over a year ago, we purchased an old house on Fellswood Drive, looking to rebuild it into a dream house. When we started building this home, it was meant for a family of 4, my wife and my 2 kids, and so we built a second floor with 3 bedrooms in total and a balcony for the family to enjoy. Now, my parents, both septuagenarians, reside in Mumbai, India, and they have never wanted to move to the US given their social circle back there. However, recently they've had a few health-related episodes back in India, which have made them realize the importance of being close to us. As such, they have expressed their strong desire to spend their years going forward with us and the grandkids, which I want to make happen for them. Unfortunately, by the time my parents expressed the desire to move to the US recently, most of the structure was already built. You'll see this from the picture that I've attached and submitted as well. So when we had to go back to the drawing board and determine how to fit in an additional bedroom of a size ideal for my parents, while still maintaining the character of the house, converting the second floor balcony to a 4th bedroom was the most obvious and only solution. That conversion, however, results in us going over 2.3% of the habitable square ratio requirement, or an additional 98 square foot over the maximum habitable square area. I'll now pass on to Paul to provide his professional opinion, as I thought it would be helpful for you to hear from a registered professional planner. I hope after hearing him out, in addition to understanding a requirement for a multi-generational living, you can approve a project to convert this balcony into a bedroom.
This project involves a D4 floor area ratio variance. Unlike a D1, which is a true use variance that requires much more stringent justifications, and needs to be shown to be only in particular cases and for special reasons. That's not the case for a D4. D4 is similar to a D3 conditional use. The board's focus should be on whether the site can accommodate the problems associated with the proposed permitted use, but with a larger floor area than permitted by ordinance. In this particular case, I believe that there are no problems associated with this application. We're not increasing the footprint of the building. We're not changing the total impervious coverage. We're taking what was originally approved as a covered balcony, and we're putting, closing 2 walls of that balcony. So the change to the building itself is frankly de minimis. I think that the percentage and the square footage that we're asking for, the variances, are de minimis in nature. But not only the positive criteria, we have to look to the negative criteria. We have to show that granting a variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinance. And as I've mentioned, this is an existing area that's already been approved and under construction. I see no harm to the public good. I see no detriment to the zone plan or the zoning ordinance. Again, I believe this is a de minimis variance that will allow the homeowner to make it a more functionally usable home for his needs.
Does anybody have any questions for this witness?
I have a question. I'm just confused. Maybe you can help me out here. So it looks like I visited the property in the snow, trudged through the ice, and I was so nervous I was going to fall, but I maintained my balance, and I made it all the way to the back, and I saw it. I have a question, though, and maybe you can just clear up the timeline for me, because it looks like there's a roof on that, on where, you know, where you want to close it, and there's a roof. So originally, I'm guessing there wasn't a roof, right?
No, there was always a roof.
There was always a roof there?
Yeah, and with the idea being that because if there's snow, I wanted to make sure that that basically slides down as well.
So it was always going to have the roof, and now you just want to close it in, but the roof was not, the roof was part of the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So you only had two sides to open the way it is?
Correct.
And that's
Okay.
why your balcony?
Correct.
Open balcony?
Yes,
Okay, but now you want to close it and make a bedroom?
correct.
Okay. It's a little confusing. Thank you.
No worries.
I have a question. What was the square footage prior to this application? Thank you.
Yeah, so the habitable square area of the first and second floor was basically 3,078. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for this witness? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Anybody in the public want to make any statements? Does anybody on the board want to make any statements? Please.
I'll make a statement. While I know that you say that the existing thing, it was supposed to be an outside porch and saying it's de minimis, I mean, the lot is already 1,000 square feet bigger than the minimum lot size, and you're asking for both a ratio and floor area variance. I don't see why a bedroom still can't be made in there and leave the extra space as outdoor space and still be within the habitable floor area that would be required, even giving you the 3220 feet. I don't understand why.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that we actually thought through is, like, because I've seen a few of these hearings as well, and if you're within the R4 requirement of 30 to 20 and not go across both of those, breaching two of them, it's generally accepted. It's an easier acceptance. I think I would not have actually flown all the way from Orlando to here. Just it was very important for that to get that 98 square foot. So it is for my parents. When we are putting that fourth bedroom on, I'm thinking of not just the fact that they're going to be living right now, but going to be living on a go-forward basis. So we don't want something that is extremely enclosed. Second, I think it is also like for my dad actually, and this is going a little bit more into the medical requirements. So he has anxiety, and specifically with regards to claustrophobia. And so one of the requirements that we wanted to make sure is that if it's a bedroom, it is at least sizable enough for him. One option, as you said, could have been to cut off the 100 square foot from there, but it would have been pretty narrow and pretty tight for both my parents, who are both in the mid-70s.
It looks like you started building that. Did you build it and then stop? It looks like no, no, okay. Is there, all right.
Sorry, no, this is exactly the plan that has already been approved. So there's no building that's actually happened within that kind of the balcony area.
When was this photograph taken?
Sorry?
When was this photograph taken? Because I don't think the house looks like this now. When was this taken?
The only thing that's changed between this and what it looks right now is the vinyl. The vinyl's been added on the, wherever you see the green zip, that's the only thing that's changed.
Right, because now there's been snow on the ground for quite some time, okay.
Anybody have any other questions or statements?
Sir, you have to excuse me because I'm new to the board, so I don't have the history here. You originally came to, well, let me ask it this way. Did you originally come to the zoning board to ask for relief to build the house as it currently exists in that picture?
The original plan, yes.
Okay.
It's exactly how it's in the picture.
But did you have to make an application before the board? Were you in any variance situation at that time?
No, we've not applied for any variance before, neither side nor back variance or front variance.
Okay,
And if you
so
look-
the original plan met all the zoning conditions?
Correct.
All right. So it's just the enclosure of the balcony that now causes you to come back?
Right. And
Right, okay.
I would just add, it's probably not, this is just the photos, but if you look at the survey as well, I think the front end it's more like a trapezium. So if you look at the front, it's pretty narrow, back is pretty wide. But I was very cognizant of making sure that we do not request, I do take privacy and, space very seriously. So neither the front end, nor the back setback, neither the side setbacks were requested for this. There was no, there was nothing that we requested. So-
Do you have any more questions? Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
I have a question about the roof height, because we didn't talk about the actual building. What is the attic height between the roof line and the top floor? What is the,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, it's not good, it's not a living space if that's what you're going to. It's a pull-down ladder.
and how high is that?
I think it is, I'm sure it's less than 6 feet. It's basically, we wanted to make sure that it's not considered a living height. It's just a normal,
It's less than 6 feet?
Yeah. I think there's a requirement that if it's above a certain height
On the
in the
drawing is
attic.
showing over 7 feet,
Oh, sorry.
7.1. It's 7.1 in
My
the drawing.
apologies. My apologies.
And there are
But-
pull-down stairs?
Sorry?
There are pull-down stairs for access to
Yes.
that? And will you make it a recommendation, I'm sorry, if we make it a recommendation of approval that you do not put living space up there, will you agree to
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely.
It's a pretty big house, okay. It's a massive house. It's a big house. In an R4, it's a big house. Putting us in a really tough spot.
And just for clarification, you were asked a question about access to the attic. Now, the building is largely built. That already has, or you will have, an area set aside for those pull-down stairs, right? It looks like it's on its way to being completed. So that's already installed that way.
Yep.
Okay.
For the attic, you mean, right?
Yeah, to the attic,
Yes,
that it's a
yes.
pull downstairs. It's,
Absolutely.
in fact, it's probably already installed
Right
that
now,
way.
it just has a ladder, but like, yes, when it's complete, it's just going to be a basic pull down with
Right.
zero living space or whatnot. And to your point, I hear you. I think if I had to go back to the drawing board and actually redo this, and if this had come up, well, maybe like 6-9 months ago, I would have actually just got 100 square foot from my own bedroom, from my master bedroom.
Right, because you put us between a rock and a hard place because the house is huge, right? So, and the way that I look at it, I don't understand why there's a full roof over that. I don't understand why you went to whatever, it doesn't matter. But I don't know, I'm having a hard time seeing the roof over that that porch area. So it's, I don't know that you leave us, we're really between a rock and a hard place here.
The idea for that, frankly, was just that, when it snows, or if there's rain is still easier, but like if it snows, we didn't necessarily want like snow in the balcony at that point. So that's why we put the roof on top. And I think, again, I wanted to make sure that, is there any precedence on that road or the road just behind us, right? So again, I pulled some data, if that's helpful to you guys. I actually pulled various comms from Fellswood Drive as well as Elmwood Drive from, I think it's the tax website, Essex County tax website. There are, I think 101 Fellswood Drive is an example, right? That's about 4 houses on the same street. Based on the tax data that I have seen, it's a lot size of 8,999. I've converted the acreage into square footage. The square footage of the house is 3,458, assuming the data on the Essex website is correct. And it has a habitable square ratio variance of 8.42% and a habitable square area of 238 square foot, as an example. And then I've actually tried to pull all those on Fellswood Drive that might not have both the habitable square area and the habitable square ratio, but it just shows like, there are various variances. And then I would say the same thing on Elmwood Drive. We found a couple of them as well that had habitable square area and the habitable square ratio, which are sizably more than us. So again.
No, thanks for doing your research, although we do look at each application separately.
Sure.
And each application brings its own issue, their own issues and whatnot. So we really, we look, but we really have to take each application, into account
Understood.
separately. So.
Anybody else want to express their opinion one way or another, or?
May I?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because you already, originally you considered to have that area to be a porch with a full roof. Since you're gonna, I'm not trying to design for you, but would that whole area, does it have to be a full bedroom, or would you just, keep some nice balcony, open area, for that bedroom? I'm just not trying to design for you, but I just feel like,
I think you might be alluding to what we were probably discussing previously, right? That keep it within the 30 to 20 square footage area.
I did not suggest anything,
Sure.
but
Okay.
I'm just trying to, ask you a question, like, does it have to all be a full enclosed bedroom? Yeah.
I think, again, if it was not for my parents, then I probably would not have done that. And then, yeah, that is the number one reason. The number two reason, less for me, frankly, would be just from aesthetically, I would actually not have just a 100 square foot balcony with a bedroom, especially for a new home. It would look more like a box for a new home, which, again, for an absolute new home, that, it might not look that great.
Anybody else?
No, I should make a motion.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, my one concern is, we haven't heard a testimony as to a special reason to, and I understand it's de minimis, but we've only heard why that it's not going to affect the zoning ordinance overall, et cetera, but there should just be some special reason why we should grant an exception to the law as it is, and I don't think we've heard any testimony on a particular reason to hang our hat on as to why we're going to, I get it's de minimis, but there's nothing particular about the property, et cetera, that would indicate that.
Special reasons. That's not a requirement for a D4 variance. I'm sorry. For a D1 variance, a use variance, you have to give specific proofs. must be for particular reasons, the site must be particularly well-suited. This is not that kind of variance. This is more along the lines of a conditional use variance. And there's been various court decisions. Coventry Square is a good one, and that deals with the conditional use variances and how they apply to D4 FAR variances. And what the courts have found, and in their judgments, that for a D4 variance, the board must focus on whether the site will accommodate any problems associated with the proposed permitted use, but with a floor area larger than permitted by the ordinance. So that's what we're asking for here. We're asking the floor area be slightly larger, but clearly it's permitted use. So we don't need special reasons. It doesn't have to be particularly well-suited. We're already a permitted use. We're just asking for it to be just a touch larger, and in my mind, that's de minimis. And can this site accommodate it? Clearly, as I mentioned, the square footage is not changing of the building, lot coverage, total impervious is not changing. We're putting 2 walls up. I think we could conclude that the site can accommodate. It's a technical variance, yes. And with regards to the negative criteria, can it be granted without substantial detriment to the public good? I see no detriment to any neighbors, to anybody. Will it substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinance? Again, in my opinion, I don't see any detriment to the zone plan or the master plan. And one of the reasons is, I believe, it's a de minimis difference. And I think based on the positive and negative criteria that the board needs to consider for this type of a variance, I think you have the authority to grant those variances, if you so choose.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
It's okay. I was attacked.
That was me.
Mr. Horn,
And
Mr. Horn, Mr.
Commissioner Horn, why vamp for a second while we deal with Exxon Valdez over here. So you've made a motion to approve with the condition of approval that the attic space not be used for habitable area.
That's correct.
I knew you'd say that.
Okay, Mr. Horn.
Approved.
Anybody second
Who seconded it?
it? Mr. Shaw.
I couldn't hear you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm torn. Mr. Kenya, no. Mr. Sherman,
No.
Mr. Yan, Ms. Yan.
No.
Okay, Ms. Khan,
Yes.
Hey, you, Mike?
Yes.
Mr. Beer.
Yes.
Okay,
Where are we?
How are we?
got 4-3.
Confirmation from our zoning official here, that the four, so it's 4-3 and the motion fails.
So what do I put here?
Okay, that's it? Yeah, you want to say?
Explain.
Yeah, so because there were insufficient number of votes in favor for this type of variance, that's why this motion has failed. As explained before, If you wish to undertake any further appeal rights, you can do that, but the motion has failed.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I just ask a quick question?
Testimony's closed.
Yeah, testimony's closed, but I'll tell you what, while we switch, I'll come down and you can ask it directly to me.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Will you call the next applicant? Yep, take your time.
Block 3902, Lot 32, Hillside Terrace, 74 Hillside Terrace, application number 2024-77-V, Rodak Builder LLC. Applicant seeks approval to construct a new family residence in the violation of the following section: 17099C2, front yard setback 40 feet required, 31 feet proposed, 9 feet variance requested. 17087CC, 3 habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 35.9% proposed, 5.9% variance requested.
Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Happy New Year, everyone.
My hand is sore from signing all your resolutions. I just want to let you know, I can't open my fingers, okay?
We can't thank you enough. Me?
We're in there
I'm
for
sorry.
hours. We got here at 4 o'clock. All right, you ready?
Yes, absolutely.
All yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Posada. I'm from the law firm Sills, Cummins & Gross, and I represent the applicant that's here tonight, Rodak Builders. The applicant is here tonight proposing to demolish the existing improvements on the subject lot and construct a new single-family home that will include a porch and also a patio. As mentioned previously, we are requesting variance relief here tonight. The first variance that we're requesting is a front yard setback. The current zoning requires a front yard setback of 40 feet. However, we're proposing here tonight 31 feet, so it's a 9-foot setback. However, this township has a carve-out provision, and that carve-out provision says it either can also be an established setback line for the surrounding area. The established setback line for the surrounding area is actually 25 feet, but this zone also requires that no setback can be any more than 30 feet. So in fact, the 31 feet by the zone's carve-out is not a variance itself. In addition, we are still keeping the 31-foot setback, which is the existing setback for the existing home that exists there today, to maintain that continuity throughout the entire neighborhood itself. So the only variance that we actually are requesting here tonight, although I did notice for both, is actually the floor area ratio itself. The floor area ratio you're going to see, although that it is being triggered, we are below for the actual habitable floor area itself. It's only the ratio. The question of, Matt, how did you guys land at this ratio that you're requesting here tonight is a very simple question to be asked and a very simple answer to be given. And the reason is because our lot is approximately 20% undersized, so therefore the proposed habitable floor area is about 20% less than what would be permitted within the zone to make sure we keep with that consistency and the balancing of the zoning code itself. In addition, you'll hear testimony here tonight that although there are some homes that are undersized comparatively to what we're proposing here tonight, just right across the street at 77 Hillside, you'll see a home that's over 500 square feet larger than what we're proposing here tonight. With that being said, I'm going to stop trying to testify because I'm a lawyer. So instead, I am going to have my first and only witness come up, Mr. Nick Graviano. And I just want to clarify for the record, Mr. Graviano is a licensed planner. He is not a licensed architect. However, he is a principal at the firm Graviano & Gillis, and they are an architectural planning firm itself. So he is very well versed in architecturals.
All right. Do you swear affirm and tell the truth for this zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my first name is Nicholas with an H, Nicholas. Last name Graviano, Grav as in Victor, Iano. I am a partner, planner, and designer with Graviano & Gillis Architects and Planners with a business address of 101 Crawford's Corner Road in Holmdel, New Jersey.
And Mr. Graviano, I think you better answer this question correctly. You are a licensed planner within the state of New Jersey?
DCA is still taking my money.
Yeah, okay. Otherwise, I'd have to inform Clifton about you. And you're speaking here tonight as a planner. and you have planning experience and background?
Yes, I've been qualified by this board on multiple occasions, as well as testifying before over 100 boards in 18 different counties, as well as governing bodies.
Does anyone on the board have any questions? Any questions or objections regarding this witness? Easy for me to say. There being no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in planning.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here, and good luck to the new board members and the new board attorney.
Thank you.
You guys too. You've seen my mug before, though. They haven't.
All right, Nick, is the proposed improvement in the R4 zone district?
Yes, the specific piece of property in question before the board this evening is known as 74 Hillside Terrace, known as Block 3902, Lot 32 in the R4 district. As you stated previously, this is an undersized lot, whereas 7,333 square feet exists and proposed, whereas 9,375 square feet is required by the ordinance.
Terrific. Have you had an opportunity to review Mr. Puzio's architectural plans?
Yes, I have. I've reviewed the architectural plans as well as reviewing the board professional reports and have conducted site visits to the neighborhood on 2 occasions.
Great. Why don't you walk us through both the floor layout and also the elevations we're proposing here tonight?
Certainly. As you can see on the plan sheet A1, which is on the screen now, the applicant is proposing a single-family dwelling. The maximum square footage of this dwelling is 2,635 square feet. That does include 142 square feet of the double-counted open foyer, which goes up to the 2nd floor. So when you look at this house in terms of livable square footage, it's 2,493 square feet, which in the current context of today's environment is certainly a modestly square foot house. There you see the front elevation. There is a attached 2-car garage to the dwelling, as well as a 2-car driveway for 2 additional vehicles. There can be 4 cars parked on this premises. Moving on to A2, you'll see the other facade elevations. You see the 2 sides. There's fenestration for the various rooms, as well as the rear elevation, which faces the ample backyard, which is actually 22.6 feet larger than what's required by ordinance. Moving on to the floor plans, I'll zoom in on the basement. Okay, the basement consists of a mechanical room, a bathroom, a small bedroom, as well as an open family room, recreation room. To the right is the 1st floor, contains the 2-car garage, the open foyer that I mentioned previously, open kitchen, dining room, family room, as well as a guest room with a bathroom which services the entire 1st floor, not just the bedroom. As I said, this is a modest house. Rooms have to serve multiple purposes. Moving on to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor contains 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, as well as the laundry facilities for the home. I would like to note where you see the mouse moving here is pull downstairs to the attic. The attic will only be used for storage and mechanical uses and will not be accessed by a regular staircase. So that is the home in a nutshell.
Pull down. Again, the attic itself is going to be a pull down, correct?
That is correct. It's in the upstairs hall where the mouse is, right across from the laundry room.
And it cannot be converted to habitable space?
Cannot be converted to habitable space.
Terrific. I have no further questions for this witness.
Anybody on the board have any questions for this witness? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? This is for questions. If you want to make a statement, that'll be later. So if you have a specific question, please come forward and state your name.
Michael Avery.
Excuse me, if I may, just for clarification purposes, I am then, after this statement, or I should say questioning, I'll then have Mr. Graviano put testimony on the record regarding planning. So this is only limited to the architectural plans itself right now that he testified to.
Okay?
I'll let them finish.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. All right, terrific. Mr. Graviano, as you're very well familiar with, the seminal case for this type of relief we're seeking here today is covered injury square, and that threshold question is, can the site itself accommodate it? As you had mentioned before, the only variance we have tonight is the ratio, so can you please walk us through that and also the character?
Certainly. I took a good look at this neighborhood both on foot and as well as through the tax records and the as-built conditions. This is certainly a lot which is consistent with many of the lots on Hillside Terrace. This lot is roughly 50 by 147, as well as the two neighbors to the sides are, as well as multiple homes across the street. The applicant is not requesting any setback relief. The applicant meets the ordinance requirements for the front yard setback averaging. I would like to note that Mr. Posada did indicate that the front yard average setback is 25 feet. However, the neighbor at 72 Hillside Terrace is 30.81. The neighbor at 76 is 29.70. That's why the applicant would like to keep the 31.0 to keep a consistency with those existing dwellings and to keep that streetscape continuity. The applicant is 585 square feet less than the maximum habitable floor area permitted for this zone. So as Mr. Posada indicated in his intro, the applicant sought to create a ratio which is consistent with the size of the property. Mr. Posada was right. The tax records at 77 Hillside Terrace do indicate a 3,198 square foot dwelling on a 50 by 146 lot, which is the exact same as the applicants before you this evening, albeit the applicant is 500 and change smaller than that dwelling, which is across the street. So when you look at this case, it's certainly the Coventry Square standard, whereas the applicant must demonstrate that the site can accommodate any potential ills given the increase in the habitable floor area ratio requirement. Here in this case, there certainly are no adverse impacts by this dwelling. The applicant is meeting all setback requirements. The applicant's actually exceeding the rear yard setback requirement by 20-something feet. Additionally, the site will be subject to review by the township engineer for grading and drainage, something that does not exist today. So certainly, when you look at the dwelling, which is under the habitable floor area square footage for the district, meets all the setback requirements, is providing revised grading and drainage, as well as providing 4 off-street parking spaces for the dwelling. There's certainly no substantial impairment to the surrounding neighborhood, no substantial detriment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. And furthermore, when you do look at the positive elements of this application, it certainly advances Purpose A of the municipal land use law, promotion of the general health, safety, morals, and welfare. That's done by creating a dwelling that's built as per current building standards and codes, replacing a house that was built in 1936, which has certainly seen its better days. Additionally, it helps provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. That's Purpose G. And then lastly, through respecting the lots and the surrounding environments, it certainly promotes Purpose I, desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement.
Terrific. I have no further questions for this witness.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness for this testimony? Sir, would you like to come back up to the mic?
Thank you. My name is Michael Avery. I live at 72.
Sweet.
Questions or statement?
Oh, why'd you ask the question?
It's a little bit of a get-to-know-you moment here. Sorry, sir. So are you going to be asking questions of Mr. Graviano, or are you going to or you want to make a statement at this time?
Questions first.
Okay, please go ahead. Just state your name for the record, please.
Michael Avery, A-V-E-R-Y.
And which address, I'm sorry?
72 Hillside.
So you're right next door, just to be
adjacent,
clear.
down the hill.
Down the hill, okay.
There's a tree which exists on the northeast corner of the existing house. Is that tree planned to be removed as part of the new plans?
Yes, that tree will be removed.
And what, if any, drainage is planned to be included around that existing tree or in that area for any groundwater?
In the event of approval, the applicant will be working with the township engineer on a drainage and grading plan. That's a condition of any approval within the township. The applicant has submitted a preliminary gradage and draining plan. However, it's not been reviewed by the township engineer yet.
Okay, and currently on the survey, on the eastern edge of the property, is it currently show a 6-inch existing open drain which protrudes back through the property to the existing rear line of the house?
You're referring to the open drain or the?
Yes.
Yeah,
And is that open drain planned to remain after the improvements are made to the property?
yes, it is.
You mentioned multiple times that there's a average 25-foot setback of the properties in the area. How was that number arrived at?
That number was arrived through a professional surveyor who calculated the setback distances for the neighboring properties. As we indicated, we're not altering the setback of the existing dwelling, and we're within the established allotment for the front yard setback averaging for the district.
And what I think is my final question, how much further is the new house, the back of the new house, going to extend beyond the current house?
I didn't look at that number because the applicant exceeds the rear yard setback by over 20 feet, but I'll try to get you that number. Roughly 17 feet.
Thank you. I have no further questions. I'll make statements at that time.
Well, while you're here, why don't you make your statement? You have to be sworn in for that.
If I may, can I please redirect to my professional?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
Thank you so very much. Just 3 quick questions. Mr. Graviano, is it consistent with your testimony that we more than exceed what was required for the rear yard setback? Specifically, the required setback for rear yard is 35 feet. We're proposing over 57.
Yes, the rear yard setback required in the district is 35 feet. We're at 57.6 feet, so we're in excess of the rear yard setback by 22.6 feet.
Okay. And isn't it also true that although drainage is not before this board here tonight, drainage is absolutely part of the building permit process itself, where our applicant will have to submit a lot surface drainage report whereby the township's engineer will have the responsibility of reviewing it, and whatever proposed improvements that he feels that are warranted to accommodate the potential stormwater runoff, our client would have to agree to install those improvements?
That is correct.
And in regards to tree removal, this municipality has a tree removal ordinance that we will also have to comply with, correct?
Yes.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, why don't you make your statement, then the board can go.
Sure. Okay, and now that you're making your statement, Mr. Avery, could you please, do you swear affirm to tell the truth for this zoning board tonight?
I do.
Okay, and obviously you're Mr. Avery again, and
Yes. I have a couple notes or points to make. One note is regarding my question regarding the tree. Specifically, the drawings are inconsistent. Some drawings show that that tree will be removed. Other drawings show that it's going to remain after the house is built. So I was confused as to why drawings were inconsistent. The reason why I ask about the open drain and specifically the tree again is when it does rain today, that is a low spot on the property around that tree. Significant water does collect around that tree today, which is adjacent to my property. That existing 6-inch drain, which is an open drain, is just essentially a dirt trough, for lack of a better term, removes that water and brings it forward. That then hits, I believe it's a 10-inch iron encased in concrete pipe at the south end of the property, which there's a manhole there, so that takes all that water, removes it from the property, and keeps it from coming onto my property. When I bought my house, that I was not aware of that drain, and it was not well maintained. I did get a little bit of water into my basement during some storms. Upon talking to the previous owner, Frank Leck, who unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago, he informed me that that drain had been there for essentially as long as he knew of it. It's my understanding, talking with him, that he was born in that house. So unfortunately, since he is deceased, he can't come here to speak for himself tonight. But my concern is that with the change to the property and the additional 17-foot as described of additional length of the house being extended backwards, with the removal of that tree, and with the fact that the current plans have no surface drainage included in them, that these changes to the property will negatively impact my property by potentially adversely affecting and sending stormwater onto my property, potentially ingressing in my basement, causing damage, etc. So my requests are rather simple, and I assume you can guess. It is the addition of surface water drainage surrounding that existing tree location, and additionally the essentially guarantee that that existing 6-inch open drain will remain throughout construction and after the property is fully constructed, so that I don't adversely take on any groundwater during construction or thereafter. Thank you.
Okay, would you like to make any statements?
Yes, I'd just like to make a quick statement. Although drainage is not before this board, because if it were, we would have absolutely submitted the stormwater details and stormwater management report. I do want to state that this municipality is very well versed on drainage issues. And what I mean by that is that part of the building permit process itself is that a lot surface drainage report must be submitted, and there's not an opportunity per se for us to really appeal it. So when that lot surface drainage gets submitted, whatever your engineer says, we have to do. And I am stating on the record that whatever the recommendation is, we will agree to comply.
Thank you.
Mr. Posada, there was a statement, but also, in essence, partially a question raised by the interested party with regard to the open drain. And I think Mr. Graviano had indicated this, that open drain is going to remain in its condition and location from where it is today through the completion of construction. Would your client agree, as a condition of approval, should the board wish to approve this, that that open drain be maintained throughout the construction process and proper measures be taken during the time of construction, which they are, but that they would be maintained, and that at the end of construction that the open drain will be continued on that site?
Yes, I find that to be acceptable, and I just want to put one little asterisk on that. Unless the municipal engineer requires us to make any other deviation that he feels would be an improvement to the site.
We'll say subject to the review of the township engineer.
Yep.
Does anybody else want to make anyone on the board want to make a statement? I'll just add for clarification, just to clarify what's been stated for benefit of the public, is no additional water shall be leaving the property than leaves now. That's really what the goal is. Surface drain, underwater, open drains, doesn't matter. X leaves now, it can't be X plus 1. It has to be X or less. So that's what the town, so just to, well, yeah, the understanding, yes. Right.
Digging, piles
Yeah.
of dirt, whatever may be as part of the construction process.
Nothing's ever perfect, but that's the goal, is to make sure you stay dry.
I don't want to go in my basement and find.
I don't think they want that to happen either, so.
I concur.
Yes, okay.
I just have a quick question. You are removing the tree from the front. Are there any landscape plans or plans to put in any other trees or any arborvitae in the back to absorb some of the water, to sort of take the place of what you're taking out? Any landscape plans?
I believe we're going to leave that to the discretion of the municipality when we submit the tree removal permit and take it from there.
Okay, but maybe just as a note to, okay.
I would concede to a condition of approval that we look into whatever additional landscaping that we can do.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, would any other questions or
Yes,
statements? Sorry.
can you specify the exact height of the attic area?
The height of the attic will be roughly 7 feet at its highest points. The plans don't specifically show the interior height of the attic because it's a varied roof line, but the collar ties come in at roughly 7 feet.
So would you agree to a condition for approval that that is not inhabitable area?
Certainly do.
Okay, so that's a condition of the approval.
There's no way getting up there anyway.
You've been, you know Atticus.
surprised.
Yeah, there's no surprise in what I said.
I'm sure you've seen it all, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, anybody else? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to
I
the
second.
subject to the conditions as stated,
That
regarding.
there will be no habitable space, I got used to that.
Yep.
No habitable space in the attic, that the 6-inch open drain will remain and be subject to review by the township engineer, and that the applicant will comply with the tree removal ordinance.
And we'll also do best efforts for additional landscaping.
That's even better.
So moved.
Did we have a second?
I second.
Mr. Horn,
Approved.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Kenya, yes. Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
okay, Ms. Khan,
Yes.
and Mr.
Yes.
Beer.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Board.
Happy New Year.
Motion to adjourn? Anybody? Motion to adjourn, you want to stay?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
On the mic.
Second.
Second it.
Yeah, all approved, aye.